Ladies and gentlemen of the Weekend Warriors League, welcome to the Kickoff Podcast, the Week 1 projections. I know that everybody's been waiting on pins and needles to see this. I got Otley texting me from SeaWorld. I got Brett texting me from wherever he is. Everybody's excited about the podcast and just really happy to be back for a season. We did it, guys. We're here. Draft day was was awesome, but then you got to wait 2 weeks till the season starts. So here we are, and I'm going to jump into it. We had a really fun draft the other day, and a lot of good teams in this league this year. Same returning 10 for the second year in a row now. So a lot of familiar faces, and just ready to get back into football, man. So it's Labor Day weekend right now. It's Monday as of the recording of this podcast. Zeke still hasn't signed. Apparently Melvin Gordon's not going to sign. So got a lot of news still spiraling. A lot of people's Week 1 lineups aren't 100% set. But I'm going to go off of what I have to best go off of, and that's what's on in your lineups right now. So if things change, we'll see. But I'm going to go off what I have. So here we go, jumping into it. I'm going to go. My first matchup here is going to be Banned by Berry, which is Otley versus Eating W's versus Brett. Brett, the defending champion. I got to tell you, I wasn't in love with Otley's team after the draft right away. Now I look at his Week 1 projections, and I've warmed up a little bit to it. He wanted to take Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes at the end of the second and third round there at the turn, but Chris T put a stop to that by drafting Mahomes where he did. So still was able to get Kelce. He's got Alvin Kamara and Ingram. That's a Saints backfield that from last year. Obviously, Ingram is now on the Ravens, but he paired those two back together. He's got Brady in his lineup right now. He also has Baker Mayfield, so have an interesting quarterback conundrum, at least for Week 1. T.Y. Hilton, a lot of people down on him after the luck's went down, but I think he's a value pick. I really do think that he'll still, put up some numbers. So, and of course, Adam Thielen, the model of consistency there at wideout. For Brett, Le'Veon Bell, love him. He got suckered into taking Derrick Henry again. He just didn't have enough pain from him last year, I guess. Odell Beckham Jr., we know we love Odell Beckham Jr. Me and Brett talk about it all the time. I might be buying his jersey shortly. Josh Gordon, risky pick. Amari Cooper in his lineup too. He's got some good players on his team. I think Brett's team is definitely built for sustainability here for the long term of the season, but we know this league is hard to repeat. It's hard to stay at the top in this league. And, Otley was at the bottom last year. He's a 3-time champ. He's had a couple rough years. I think Ott, who wasn't at the draft, is going to send a message. And the commish is coming out right out of the gate, Week 1, with an upset special. And I'm going to pick Otley to beat Eating W's in Week 1. So Ott, as you're listening to this, you can be maybe you'll be mad because I don't know. Sometimes I get your matchups right, sometimes I get them wrong. But starting out with 1-0 for Mr. Ott. So moving on to the second matchup of the week. Kevin Lawson and Terry. So I still don't like this Tyler's a fraud name. I think he might need to change that. Last year it was Pearson's a hoe or something. So maybe he's just going to keep jumping around the league. But I'll take the blame for now. Terry's team, I love his wide receivers. Michael Thomas, Stephon Diggs, Cooper Kupp. Gotta love Nick Chubb, but Damian Williams, now with that news of McCoy going there, that might be a little bit tough. And his third running back's Latavius Murray. So you got, Rashad Penny on his bench. Maybe he'll pop and maybe do something for Seattle. But Damian at Jacksonville Week 1, very tough matchup. His only quarterback on his roster right now is Kyler Murray. Some question marks for Terry. Luckily, he's playing Kevin's team, who he said it at the draft. He's only taking guys who have problems. He missed out on Josh Gordon, but he got his fair share of problems. He's got Zeke and Melvin Gordon. As I said, as of right now, neither of those guys are playing Week 1, which puts Josh Jacobs in his lineup as his RB2 next to Fournette. Still very good running backs. But, jumping down the flex, he's either playing Will Fuller, Darrell Henderson, James Washington, or Carlos Hyde. Definitely a weak flex, Week 1. If you're picking a week to play Kev, you want to play him at the beginning of the year. If he can go 2-2 or even 2-3 and then get some of these guys back, he'll get hot at the right time and he could make a run. But Week 1, I'm going to go with Terry. Too many question marks on Kevin's roster. It's tough to have Zeke and Melvin. But Rich Dott actually did that in his league too. That's Kevin and Rich. They draft a little similar. They like to take some chances. Nothing wrong with that. Kevin's a two-time champion, but to start out, I have him in the loss column week 1. So Terry over Kevin. We'll go to the third matchup of the week. We have All Long Johnson, Zach versus Balls Deep Pearson. Zach always has a good team, I feel like, after the draft. 3 running backs: James Conner, Kerryon Johnson, Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones, tough week 1 matchup at Chicago. Wide receiver-wise, you got Julio, and he paired him with Tyler Boyd and Jarvis Landry. Maybe the 2 and 3 there a little bit weaker, but if your number 1's Julio, that helps out. His quarterback's Deshaun Watson, who, with the weapons he has, could be the number 1 quarterback at the end of the season. For Pearson, he's got Drew Brees. He always has Drew Brees. Todd Gurley, it pained him to take him, but he did take him. You leave the first and second round with DeAndre Hopkins and Todd Gurley. That's a pretty damn good start. Mike Williams, I really, really do like him this year. And Pearson also has Pollard in his lineup at the moment with Marlon Mack on the bench. So if Zeke's going to miss some time, Pearson's really got some depth at the running back position. And he also has George Kittle. Like Pearson's team a lot. Devonta Freeman's going to have a bounce-back year. He's got a tough Week 1 matchup against Minnesota. DJ Moore, kind of unproven, but could be a big weapon in the Panthers' passing game. I'm going to go with Pearson Week 1. I think his team is slightly better than Zach's. I think both these teams are very good. This one was probably the toughest one for me, especially with Deshaun Watson at New Orleans Monday night. Pearson does have Breeze, but it's going to be an interesting matchup. I'll take Pearson in Week 1. That takes me to the matchup of the week. Preview here. Optimistic Bearded Parrot, which is right now the number 1 team name in the league. I can't believe it was Optimistic Parrot. Now it's Optimistic Bearded Parrot. For you guys that know the inside joke, that name fits Chris T perfectly. Chris left the draft with a great team. He's got 2 Rams wide receivers, as Pearson mentioned at the draft. When he had all Bengals 12 years ago, worked out really well for him. You got Cooks and Woods, pairing that with Patrick Mahomes and Saquon Barkley. He also has Mike Evans and Tevin Coleman and Tariq Cohen at flex. So, damn, good team for Chris. Unfortunately, he is playing what I think is one of the other teams had a very, very strong draft. My brother Jake, he's got McCaffrey and Sony Michel, 2 really good running backs. Juju Smith-Schuster, Antonio Brown, another set of former teammates that could both be wide receiver 1s, and pairing that with a high, consistent volume wide receiver 3 in Edelman. And he's got Eckler in his lineup for Week 1, who's going to be great against the Colts, especially with Melvin Gordon now. So pair that with Matt Ryan. Mentioned earlier, it's a tough matchup against Minnesota, but really, really, really like both of these teams. And I'm going to take It Ain't Easy Being Brown Week 1. Chris is going to have a good season this year. I really think so. But I think Jake's going to get out with a win in Week 1. So that my last matchup of the week runner-up, me versus my dad. Don't want to pick myself in the matchup of the week, but I feel like I always play my dad Week 1. At least it seems that way. He's got a great team too. Everybody's team looks good at Week 1, I guess. But he's got Rivers and Rodgers. Good luck trying to figure out who to play Week 1. I guess with Rodgers at Chicago, he is rolling with Rivers right now. David Johnson, Joe Mixon, Keenan Allen, Lockett. I love Lockett this year. I know that he's a lot of mixed bag. I know my brother doesn't like Lockett. I do like Lockett this year. Alshon Jeffrey and Jordan Howard, a couple Eagles in there. As for myself, I have the most rookie running backs I think ever. Dalvin Cook, not a rookie, but hasn't played in a little while. David Montgomery, rookie. Darwin Thompson, rookie. Loved him until Sean McCoy went to the Chiefs. Miles Sanders, rookie. Devin Singletary, I got some good news from him this weekend. But my 3 starters, Dalvin Cook, David Montgomery, and Chris Carson, should be a good backfield there. Need to really rely on Kenny Golladay, who I had last year, who I really loved. He's got to take a step forward here. And Robbie Anderson with a quad injury. Got to hope he plays Week 1. And I'm also relying on Jared Goff. It's going to be a tough Week 1. I mean, this site projects us to be within 1.3 points of each other. I'm, of course, picking myself, Dad. You're going down Week 1. I'm going to do my best to take them down and start out hot in this league. So I got myself, I got Jake, I got Terry, I got Pearson, and I got Otley for Week 1. That's my projections. And for my special guest of the week, you guys didn't think I'd have one week one. I got the same special guest I think I had last year week one. Pull up my brother here on FaceTime. See if I can figure out how to do this. I just took a photo of him. All right, Jake, you might be on mute, so you might want to take yourself off mute. But
Good call. Good call.
so here we go. My brother, live from FaceTime. Here, my question to you, Jake. Tell me about your draft, what you did well, and what do you think about your team?
All right. So personally, I think my team is one of the better ones. I think my receivers are the best in the league, and my running back too is a little weak, and Sony Michel. But I think pairing him with what's his name, McCaffrey, I think that's pretty solid. So
Okay.
my for week one is Eckler, but that might change in the future if Gordon comes back. But we'll see.
All right. So you like your team. I said I liked your team. Give me another team in the league that you think had a good draft and you might be a little worried about this year in fantasy.
All right, so you don't find yourself saying Chris T has a good team very often, but this year I think he had a very strong draft, and unfortunately I play him week one, so that's not good. He's got Mahomes, and then he's got 2 star running backs, and he's got 3 star receivers, so kind of worried. But Chris T, you're still going down.
Chris T, the bearded parrot. You never see a bearded parrot in the wild, only on a couch. So
Optimistic one.
that's right. That's right. So I was talking about Melvin and Zeke earlier. They're owned by the same guy. What do you think? You know, Kev obviously is following Twitter like a hawk to see when these guys are coming back. Every day it changes. I'm asking you,
The Eagles or something.
when do you think Zeke's going to be back and when do you think Gordon's going to be back? Jake's opinion.
Right. Well, I have Zeke in a couple leagues, so I'm going to be optimistic here and say he comes back week one. or
Wow.
Week 2. You know, somewhere. Maybe he'll miss a game or 2, but I feel like he'll be back soon.
Okay.
But on the other hand, I feel like he will not be back until later if he comes back at all.
Is he going to come
I don't
back
know.
as a Charger or is he going to come back as somebody else?
He won't be back as a Charger.
All right. So that
If
come-
he comes back, he'll be on another team.
coming from the Austin Eckler owner, maybe a little bit of bias, but I like the opinion. All right.
No
So
bias.
doesn't have to be from your team, but I want to know, give me somebody that you think is going to have a huge week one. Could be a breakout guy, could be a star, but who do you think is going to have like a week-winning week one performance?
Okay, I think that Antonio Brown is getting way too much hate right now. I feel like he's going to go out and just silence everybody, prove that he's still the man. Like 2 touches, over 100 yards. You heard it here first.
All right. I like that. All right, let me give you this. You kind of told Chris he was going down. Do you have any words for this bearded parrot before I let you go?
Just to remind him that he hasn't been good in about 12 years. That's about it.
All right, calling Chris T out. I love it. All right, Jake. Thanks for joining
I
the.
am a little scared. He's starting to draft all the Rams this year. He had all the Bengals or the Cardinals. What was it?
He had the Cardinals and the Bengals, I think, each respectively in different years. That was his winning formula. So Jake's backtracking a little bit, so he has some decent karma. But we'll see what happens week one. All right, Jake, I'm gonna let you go, buddy.
All right, see you, dude.
All right, guys, there you have it. That's my week one projections. Tune in next week for week 2, and hopefully I go 5-0. Take care, guys. Commish out.